When the last days were upon me, and the ugly trifles of existence began to drive me to madness, like the small drops of water that torturers let fall ceaselessly upon one spot of their victim's body, I loved the irradiate refuge of sleep. In my dreams I found a little of the beauty I had vainly sought in life, and wandered through old gardens and enchanted woods. Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and gender non-conforming people. My name is Andrew Carr, and welcome back once again to the Carr-Quest of H.P. Lovecraft. And guess what, also, people? This and the next episode that should be coming out fairly soon will be the last of the catch-up period. So after this episode and the next one, which we'll get to at the end of this video, or this episode rather, we'll have caught up from missing all the episodes that I was supposed to record back in October. So, with that being said, as we progress into this latest story, we will be covering the short story Oblivione? Oblivione, that's what it is. So, Oblivione, through further research, I found that much like Nyarlathotep, it's actually kind of a prose poem, except instead of a prose poem about societal decline, it's a prose poem about a guy, a dying guy, who wishes to know what's beyond a certain gate he sees in his dreams. Actually, hold on, the camera's really placed, hold on. So, basically, I kind of wanted to talk about this because I feel like there's a theme or a motif I see popping up in these Dreamland stories that I don't really see in some of the other ones that we read, especially back in season 1. Maybe the Randolph Carter one, the Silver Key, kind of hinted at that, but I'm starting to notice that the dream cycle stories end a lot more, not lighthearted, I wouldn't call them especially lighthearted, but they end a lot more bittersweetly. And to get to the point, a lot of the dreamers, or there's a lot of the everlasting dream of death being the everlasting dream and becoming one with the dream world. Almost that dream worlds are more livable and more interesting than life in the real world. And I think that's a very interesting motif, and that's one that's definitely covered in this story. Because we also kind of get again a reminder of sort of the, I guess you'd call it, the powers of dreamers in H.P. Lovecraft's sort of universe, that they're able to sort of to like what was it, lucid dream, so they're able to like interact with the dreamscape around them. They mostly drift through the world. I remember once reading a story, I forget which one, but it was like one that said like, oh, it was like a light, like it's a form of light. Was it Cellophase? I think it was Cellophase. That sort of covered that. Yeah, also just this one, I think because this one is also like explicitly about death, like as I read in the opening paragraph, it's pretty explicitly about a guy close to, or just a general person who is close to their death. And yeah, I actually remember, because honesty compels me to tell you that I didn't record, but I read this story the night before recording this episode in an attempt to like make the episode, but didn't really work out that way. Timing went bad. Um, but when I read the ending of the story, which I won't spoil, but when I read the ending, I was kind of confused because it's like he makes his way through the gate, but it's kind of vague how it's written because again, H.P. Lovecraft's way of writing, and I was really confused by what by what it meant, and I sort of did a little bit of digging. I looked on Wikipedia, and much like earlier, it sort of again plays into this theme of there's again this theme of playing, well, not playing, but like of becoming one with the dream world, dying in the real world to get into the dream world, or that life and death kind of there's like a weird like crossover of sorts. I don't know if that really makes any sense how I described it, but I think it's this is definitely much more of a atmospheric poem as opposed to like one I think with a beginning, a middle, and an end, like a proper short story. But I think the atmosphere is actually really good. I think it's properly uh it's properly bleak. But I also but again, it's not all the way bleak, and that's another thing I mentioned earlier is that it's not all the way bleak because the Dreamland stories also often sort of make points about how beautiful the dream world is and like the colors and the things you'll see over there, and they're like beyond your imagination, but like again, not in a way that like Cthulhu or like Azathoth or Nyarlathotep or Yog-Sothoth sort of elude us on a cosmic level, but just kind of that dreamers can access this other world in either through livid dreams or like lucid dreams rather, or death, or you know various ways. And a lot of these dreamers sometimes die in the real world to get to the dream world, or at least explore it more. They're able to seem to explore it more as soon as like something happens to them. So I just again, I don't know if this is really making any sense, but it just I think this one really just got me thinking. And when I looked up what happened at the end of the story, sort of bypassing H.P. Lovecraft's prose, um I was silent for like a good couple minutes. like a good while. I was just like honestly, like that's how it kind of ends. Um so I think because excuse me. I think because the story did kind of the story did kind of have that sort of intrigue, that kind of metaphysical life and death sort of theme to it. More explicitly so in this. I really liked Ex Oblivione. Would I say it's one of H.P. Lovecraft's absolute bests? I'm not quite sure, but I definitely think that it's definitely one of his best. I think it's also it's also a prose poem. So again, uh, I'll also make it clear I have no idea how prose poems are supposed to go. I know like I know like haikus and poem like like poetry and what's the other one, limericks and that kind of thing, but I'm not really well versed in the world of prose poems, so I don't really know how if they are good prose poems or not good prose poems or anything. But yeah, I really liked Ex Oblivione. Probably will give it a high A, maybe even S, because of how much it made me think. And it made me think with so little. Again, this is not a very complicated story. It's not even really much of a. It's not really too much of a narrative. Character speaking and like story speaking. but there's definitely a lot of atmosphere here, and again, there's a lot of sort of metaphysical themes and sort of whatnot in this story. So yeah, so again, that's a high S or no, high A or S rank for Ex Oblivione. And our next story, and the last one before we finally catch up, will be The Quest of Iranon? Iranon? I think it's Iranon. So until then, ladies, gentlemen, and gender non-conforming people, my name is Andrew Carr. This has been the Carr-Quest of H.P. Lovecraft, and I'll see y'all in the next episode. See ya.